Welcome to Divine Discussions with Chief Apostle Veronica Yisrael, the podcast where we explore the profound mysteries of spirituality, history, and the human soul. I'm your host, Chief Apostle Veronica Yisrael, and I invite you to join me on a journey of enlightenment and discovery. At Divine Discussions, our mission is to uncover the hidden truths of spiritual knowledge, challenge traditional narratives, and empower you to connect with the divine within. Each episode, we delve into the rich tapestry of spiritual traditions, historical events, and personal experiences that shape our understanding of the divine. Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker, a curious skeptic, or someone in between, this podcast is your sanctuary for open-minded exploration and growth. Together, we'll navigate the intersections of faith, reason, and personal experience, striving to cultivate a deeper, more authentic connection with the divine. So take a deep breath, open your mind, and prepare to embark on a transformative journey with us. Welcome to Divine Discussions with Chief Apostle Veronica Yisrael, where every episode is a step towards greater spiritual awareness and empowerment. Welcome to Divine Discussions with Chief Apostle Veronica Yisrael, where we dive deep into the mysteries of spirituality, history, and the complexity of the human soul. I'm your host, Chief Apostle Veronica Yisrael, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today for a truly eye-opening episode. At Divine Discussions, our mission is to challenge conventional wisdom, explore hidden truths, and empower you to see spirituality in a new light. Today we're tackling a provocative topic that is sure to stir up your curiosity and broaden your perspective. Yahshua, the Necromancer, Reexamining spirituality and the notion of evil. What if some of the practices we've been taught to fear are actually integral to our spiritual journey and understanding? What if Yahshua, commonly called Jesus, himself often depicted as a miracle worker, healer, was engaged in practices that would be considered necromancy by today's standards? It's time to question, explore, and redefine our understanding of good and evil in the spiritual realm. So take a deep breath, relax, open your mind, and let's dive into this fascinating exploration. To start off, let's define what we mean by necromancy. Many times, when starting a conversation or discussion and not having a mutual understanding of the definition of the topic at hand, we can unfortunately end up misunderstanding the basis and end up with an outcome that's less than favorable and frustrates all involved. So let's establish what we mean by the term necromancy. Traditionally, necromancy is the practice of communicating with the dead, often with the intent of divination or gaining insight. In many cultures and religions, this practice has been labeled evil or forbidden. However, if we look closely at the biblical account of Yahshua, we find numerous occasions and instances where he interacts with the dead, raising them to life and communicating with spirits. Could it be that these acts were forms of necromancy? And if so, what does this mean for our understanding of Yahshua and spirituality as a whole? In today's episode, we'll explore these questions and more. We'll delve into the historical and cultural context of Yahshua's time, examine biblical accounts, and discuss how these practices align with our spirituality or challenge our modern views of spirituality and morality. All right, let's go. Let's take a look at 3 biblical accounts that suggest Yahshua might have engaged in practices akin to necromancy. The first one we want to deal with is the raising of Lazarus from the dead. You can find this in the Gospel according to St. John chapter 11, verse 1 through verse 44. One of the famous miracles of Yahshua is the raising of Lazarus from the dead. It's one of compassion. There's a lot that's emotions that are in this text. Jesus calls Lazarus out of the tomb after he had been dead for 4 days. This act of bringing someone back from the dead is a clear example of what could be considered necromancy. The second example we want to use is the Transfiguration. You can find this in the Gospel according to St. Matthew chapter 17, verse 1 through 9, St. Mark, the Gospel according to St. Mark chapter 9, verse 2 through 8. And you also can find this account in the Gospel according to St. Luke chapter 9, verse 28 through 36. During the Transfiguration, Yahshua converses with 2 people, former prophets, that were deceased from the earth realm. You have Moshe or Moses and Eliyahu, commonly called Elijah, both long dead prophets. This communication with spirits from the past can also be seen as a form of necromancy. And the third and last example we want to use in this moment is the daughter of Jairus. This account is found in the Gospel according to St. Mark chapter 5, verse 21 through 23. Also can be found in the Gospel according to St. Matthew chapter 9, verse 18 through 26. And lastly, in the Gospel according to St. Luke chapter 8, verse 40 through 56. In this text, Yahshua raises the daughter of Jairus from the dead, again demonstrating his power over life and death. These examples challenge the traditional views and notions that necromancy is inherently evil. If the revered ascended master teacher Yahshua, a central figure in what is now known as Christianity, engaged in these practices, perhaps it's time to rethink our understanding on the subject matter. So to better understand these practices, let's consider the historical and cultural context of Yahshua's time. 3 points. Number 1, Jewish beliefs about the afterlife. In the first century of Judaism, beliefs about the afterlife and death or the dead were complex. They were varying views on resurrection, the soul, and the interaction between the living and the dead. Many will be surprised to know that in Judaism, there is not a set in stone understanding of the topics of death, afterlife, resurrection, and the like. Even until this very day, there are different camps of Jews having different perspectives on the resurrection of the dead, afterlife, etc. Reason being is because through Jewish lens, There are some things one will never be able to speak definitively on because we have no way of knowing with certainty. The second thing, in looking at Yahshua's time and the historical and cultural context, the second point we want to make is miracle workers and magicians. During this period, there were many known miracle workers and magicians who performed acts similar to those attributed to Yahshua. These figures were often seen as having divine or supernatural powers. So I know it's challenging for many of my devout, biblical literates and fundamentalist followers. It may be very challenging, but you have to come to the understanding that Yahshua, commonly called Jesus, was not the only miracle worker and person revered as a healer in his times. He was one of many. I will even go on to say that he was not the only one who thought he was the Messiah. There were many who thought they were the Messiah in the Jewish context. And the third point in this historical and cultural context of Yeshua's time we want to point out is the cultural perceptions of necromancy. While necromancy is often frowned upon and was, and still is in many instances, it wasn't universally condemned. Different cultures had different views on the practice, and it was sometimes seen as a legitimate way to gain spiritual insight. By placing Jesus or Yeshua within this context, we can see that his actions were a part of a broader tradition of spiritual practices, many of which involve communication with the dead. This brings us to a crucial question. How do we distinguish between good and evil in spirituality? If practices like necromancies are often deemed evil were part of Yeshua's ministry, then our definitions of these terms may need to be reexamined. Here are 3 ways we can use to examine our perception and understanding of what should be deemed good or evil in spirituality. The first way to examine is intent and outcome. Perhaps the key lies in the intent and outcome of the practice or practices. Yeshua's actions were motivated by compassion, love, and the desire to heal and transform lives. If the intent is to bring about a positive outcome, change, and growth, can the practice still be considered evil? Think about that. Let's put on our critical thinking cap at this junction, beloved. The second way of examining cultural and religious biases. Many of us have them. Many of our notions of good and evil are shaped by our cultural and religious biases. By questioning these biases, we can develop a more nuanced understanding of spirituality that goes beyond black and white understanding and thinking. I encourage you to remove the chains of bondage, the religious box you've been miserable complying with and being in, and use your own mind to question everything. Did it divine source, the infinite source, God by all names, are not intimidated by you having questions and you using your mind to think and question everything. Allow yourself to explore beyond the confines of your religious upbringing and really move beyond biases and find out what is good and evil according to your own soul after examining and analyzing things for yourself. And the third example on how we can examine our perception and understanding of what should be deemed good or evil in spiritual practices is embracing a holistic view. Spirituality is multifaceted and complex, if you will. By embracing a holistic view and approach that considers the context, intent, and impact of spiritual practices, we can move towards a more inclusive and enlightened understanding. Learn to not only take the limits off of God, but take the limits off of you. Take the limits off of your mind and spirit so you can be free to think for yourself. Critical thinking is a dangerous weapon, beloved. It's a dangerous weapon of the mind to those who are liberated, and those who use it wisely are a force to be reckoned with. And the religious world does not like it one bit. But guess what? Who cares? We're all about liberation, freedom, truth, and justice, and finding our own path. Now let's take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed so far and consider how these insights can impact our personal spiritual journeys. First thing, open-mindedness. Approach spirituality with an open mind, willing to question and explore beyond traditional narratives. Take off the brakes. Just take it off and dive into exploring your spirituality in new ways. Unlock your crown chakra and allow your divinity to flow within you, through you, as you, and around you, guiding you with an open mind to truth that resonates with you. The second thing to be remembering is self-reflection. Reflect on your own beliefs and practices. Are there aspects of spirituality you've been taught to fear and reject? How can you reframe these in a more positive light? Because everything ain't evil. Everything ain't the devil or evil. And everything ain't God either. So let's keep that in mind. The third thing is embracing diversity. Recognize the diversity of spiritual practices and perspectives. Embrace the richness that comes from different cultural and historical contexts. Always view things in its proper context. I repeat, always view things in its proper context and historical context so that you can arrive to a better articulation of your own perspectives in your own context. And the fourth thing to be reminded is personal empowerment, which we express and encourage so much on this podcast and this platform. Personal empowerment. Trust your own spiritual intuition and experiences. You have the power to define your own spiritual path and discern what resonates with your inner truth. Never cast aside your inner light and inner guidance for someone else's outside perspective that is contrary to your inner truth. Find out things for yourself. Research for yourself. And after all facts have been laid out before you, then you decide for yourself what resonates with you and what practices you're going to keep and what practice you're not going to keep. This is what leads and assists you in taking ownership of your own autonomy and your own personal empowerment. Don't let anybody else's opinion of something, calling something evil, and using scare tactics, fear tactics to cause you not to explore. The divine presence is within you. And if you listen to your inner voice, your intuition, God in you, by all names known, will direct you and lead you in the path, in the practices that will best suit you in your life's goal, purpose, and spiritual path. As we conclude this episode, I encourage you to embrace a new perspective on spirituality. The practices we've been taught to fear might hold profound truths and insights for us. By re-examining our definitions of good and evil, we can unlock a deeper levels of spiritual understanding and growth. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me on today on this journey of exploration. Remember, spirituality is not about conforming to rigid norms, but about discovering and embracing the divine within and around us. My prayer for you is that you find peace and purpose on your spiritual journey. Until next time, stay open, stay focused, and trust the guidance within. Namaskar. I bow and behold the presence of God, the good in you. Ashe. If you have been blessed and found value in these sessions and wish to support our mission of spreading love, faith, truth, and freedom, I invite you to consider making a financial contribution. Your support helps us to continue to provide high-quality content, reach more people, and create a safe space for healing and growth. We deeply appreciate your support that you provide, whether financial or otherwise. Your generosity enables us to continue offering these sessions and this podcast and its episodes and expand our reach to help more people on their spiritual journey. The Cash App is pinned above, $, capital VSY, lowercase ISRAEL 2021. Personally, I am incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Your presence, participation, and support means the world to me. Together, we are creating a space of love and healing, a sanctuary for all. If you enjoyed this session, please follow me on all social media platforms for more content on personal development and spiritual growth. You can follow me at Chief Apostle Veronica Israel. That is at Chief Apostle Veronica Israel on all social medias: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're all there. Also, feel free to share this podcast with anyone that you feel that could benefit from it. We very much appreciate it. And don't forget to press that subscribe button, like, share, and follow us for more. Until next time, I love you all. Always remember that the presence of God in me loves the presence of God in you. I love you all. Peace be with you. Namaste. Amen. And Ashe. Mwah.